Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon again, and
What
welcome
will you
students
be
to
showing us?
this is the next installation in our How to Take Apart a Transmission series. We're going to take the auxiliary case off the main case. This particular transmission has an issue with the auxiliary case. Let's pretend the synchronizer clutch is broken, and I need to get this off to fix it. A lot of shops will do that. If it's in this section of the transmission, you don't have to replace the whole transmission. This part's still good. It's just this part is bad. So what I've done was I've stood it up on a table. There's a hole in the table that the input shaft is sticking through, so it's still supported on the table.
So a hole just like that one.
Yeah. And I've disconnected the speedometer. This is the sensor for the speedometer. It's on the output shaft of the transmission. There's a tone ring in there, very much like an ABS module. If I was going to disassemble this on the table, I would definitely want to loosen that nut now. I would most definitely get my 1-inch impact wrench and a really big socket, and I would take that off now. It's a lot easier to do now. I put it back on because I need that yoke to pick it up with. I have taken off all the air hoses. I have taken off all the control lines. I put them neatly someplace where they're not going to get damaged. I hope they're someplace where they're not going to get damaged. We can put these back on. It's not a big deal. They'll all go back on. This is an overdrive transmission. This is a 13-speed transmission with an overdrive range in it. This is an auxiliary countershaft here. There's another auxiliary countershaft here. This particular auxiliary countershaft is mounted on tapered roller bearings. And because of that, when I pick this up, there won't be anything to hold that countershaft in place. I need to deal with that before I pick this case up. If I pick this up and don't put something on these to hold them, they'll fall out, they'll get jammed up in the works, and I'll never get it off. Fortunately, we have a tool. This is just a substitute cover. It's a replacement cover. Fits on the same place with a hole in the middle that fits over a threaded hole in the end of the countershaft. This is a pretty straightforward affair. I put that into the end of the countershaft. Tighten it with my fingers. I put a bolt over here. These are the same bolts that hold the real covers on. And I put that one there. And I'm gonna snug these up just a wee bit. I don't need to crank down on them really hard. I just need them to be a little firm because I want to make sure that countershaft is held in place when I pick this up. This is my splitter cylinder. I don't need to do anything with that. This is my range cylinder. Don't need to do anything with that. Everything is going to come off as one piece. I've already taken out all the bolts all the way around, and I put 2 bolts into 2 threaded holes. There's one here and there's one on the other side. This hole is threaded into the flange on the case here, right there. Sometimes there's 3 of them. There would be another one over here. Some models have 3. This is just a threaded hole that butts up to the mounting surface here. When this is new, when this is in service, there's a paper gasket there. And that paper gasket, I think they make the paper gasket out of concrete and JB weld, because sometimes these 2 pieces just don't want to come apart. So they put these threaded holes in there. I can put a bolt in and I can tighten it a little bit on this side, a little bit on this side. And what it does is it kind of pulls these 2 pieces apart. If you look, maybe you can see these 2 pieces starting to separate. Not a lot, but enough to break the gasket. Once that gasket is broken, I might be able to get in there with a pry bar if I need to and finish tearing it. Maybe I get in there with a knife and just cut it. The gasket is non-serviceable. If you pull this off, you're going to put a new gasket on it, so don't worry about the condition. Okay, all the bolts are out. The gasket's been broken. We're going to put some WD-40 on these guide pins here. These pins are very critical. These pins align the case and all the gears inside with this case and all the gears inside of that. If these dowel pins are loose or damaged, I'm probably going to wind up with a misalignment between the back box and the front section. I'm going to wind up with some shifting problems. I'm going to wind up with some noise. I'm going to wind up with some busted stuff. The easiest way to get this off now that I've gone this far is to put a lifting chain on the yoke, carefully, nice and easy, pick it up. We're going to put a little bit of tension on it. We're going to make sure that it lifts up. It's lifting up over here. I'm not coming up on this side yet. Let me see what's the hold up. Sometimes we just need a little bit of magic, a little bit of persuasion, and it also helps that it's been taken apart 500 times. It helps keep things loose. They don't really come apart this easy. But sometimes they do. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Come on. We were just nice and easy. Weren't we just nice and easy? We were. Up. You can see tapered roller bearings on the other end of the countershaft. I'm not going to lift this up any higher than I need to. I'm going to slide this carefully over to the table, making sure that at no time my feet are underneath it, because if that patented lifting hook breaks, so will my foot.
No composite toe will help that.
Nice and easy. Calm down. Back. Back. Down. Back. Okay. The auxiliary section has been off. It's been removed. It's safe for me to disassemble now. This is my upper auxiliary countershaft. This is my lower auxiliary countershaft. This right here is my high-low range clutch. This is the one that moves forwards and backwards, excuse me, low range or high range. Down in here, you can see it, but right down inside of there, there's another shift yoke. That's my splitter. The splitter controls another sliding collar that's behind this gear that will lock this gear or an output gear, a second output gear to the output shaft. Because this is a 13-speed transmission, the way this is designed to operate in low range, I don't split the gears. In low range, I'm in a 1-to-1 ratio. That splitter yoke is going to be forward. It's going to be locking this gear to the output shaft. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. When I get up into high range, then I can slide this back and forth and lock this gear or the other gear back there you can't see to give me an overdrive ratio. And again, that's only for one gear in the main case. This is for a set of gears in the main. This is for a range of gears in the main case. Disassembly involves removing some bolts. The output bearing is back here. When the yoke comes off, the output bearing will be loosened up. I can take this row bolts out and take this cover off. The output bearings will come with it. One output bearing is going to be stuck on the shaft. Quick little tap with a hammer. Out comes the output bearing, and the rest of it comes out this side. I'm not going to try to rebuild this on video because there's too many steps. It's too complicated. It's too hard. That is too hard. But we can't put it back on. Get up. We're not going to get our feet underneath it, remember, because we like our feet where they are. We're going to slide this over. Oh, is it a real shot? We'll put the transmission closer to the table. I'm going to clean this surface. I'm going to put a new paper gasket down with some sealant on it. Slide this over. Do you want to see the hole in here? Do you want to see the back box? What it looks like? You guys want to see that? What it looks like without a case on it? Here's my auxiliary drive gear. There's the end of my main shaft. This is what the main box is turning. This here is my upper countershaft in the main case. Here's my lower countershaft in the main case. These bushings here, these bearing cups here, are for the bearings on the auxiliary countershafts. You can't see it, but there's a magnet right there. There's a magnet stuck to the case there. To get this off, this is an easy piece to get off. Take that retaining ring out, take these bolts out, and there's 1, 2, 3 threaded holes here. I use these bolts and these threaded holes, and it literally presses this gear off, very much like what these bolts did to press the auxiliary case off. That comes off. We put that back on. We put that retaining ring back in. The front section is good to go. Slide this over, nice and easy like. Don't drop it. Don't drop it. It will be angled. You're going to lower this down, nice and easy. Get it close. And what we're going to do is the alignment pins. We're going to put this back on the alignment pins. Those dowels are everything right now. Lower it down. Sometimes it doesn't go down all the way. Sometimes it wants to be gently persuaded that it wants to go down. Other times, I need to be a little more enthusiastic with how things are. Auxiliary drive gear doesn't find its way. The auxiliary drive gear doesn't find its way into the output shaft. We wind up pulling it back out, trying again. The other down. Yep. Trying again. If we can. Nice and easy. Get your fingers in there. There we go. Maybe. Maybe. Well, obviously, something's in the way.
Went in easier last time.
I know it. we did a dry run on this and it worked perfect. I'm gonna turn the front box. Turn that just a wee bit. Reposition those teeth on the auxiliary drive gear. Is it gonna work this time? It's gonna work. There we go.
It is. Yay.
Now, I did tap on it a couple of times with this, but I realized right away that that wasn't making it go. Something else was holding it up. I can tap on this flange a little bit, but if it doesn't go, hitting it with a bigger hammer is not gonna solve the problem. Hitting it again is not gonna solve the problem. If the bearings line up with the cups, if the clutching teeth line up with the auxiliary drive gear, it'll fall right down into place, just like that. The next thing I'm gonna do is remove my lifting bolts, put in the remainder of my mounting bolts, torque them down to the preset value, remove these holding plates. The rear cups, the rear caps go back on. These are shims. This is the adjustment for the bearings on the countershaft. Lesson for another day. Questions, comments, concerns? It's really not that hard to get these apart. They could be a little intimidating because they're big. Relax. You'll do fine. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.